thought, Rusty. I know this is a complete waste of time, but Mr. Brown, hearing you talk, I mean, we ought to send you over to Iran to get this thing straightened out. You know, thing they're doing over there. But I just want to tell you something truthfully. I think Mr. Barrett, you, Mr. Brown, you, Mr. Vinsco, you, Mr. Merrick, and you, Mrs. Lavelle, you should just resign. And I'll tell you what, you could laugh, Mr. Brown, but all of a sudden, it's election time, and now we're all worried about crime. We're going to do something about crime. I helped arrest dozens of people. Never once have I been recognized by this council, ever. And I don't expect it. All of a sudden, because we're running, now we're worried about crime. No, you're worried about getting voted out of office. So you can keep stuff in your pockets like Mr. Barrett, with all the money he makes, $200,000 a year. It's ridiculous.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Hasselhoff, it's the city issues, please.
Wait, I'm just making a point. The man makes $200,000. Well, I am, but I'm trying to say stuff.
Well, his personal salary is none of the city's business.
Well, it is when you Why are you interrupting me? The other man was given extra time. You didn't interrupt him. Now you're interrupting me.
His council salary is city businesses.
I understand, but what I'm trying to say is the man makes almost $200,000 a year. He doesn't know the fee.
One more time.
What?
I'm warning you.
What?
Come on, finish your presentation.
All right, I'm saying that you people should resign. Because you are nothing, Mr. Barrett is nothing more than a liar.
Please address council as a whole, Mr. Catalbas.
All right, but how do I say what I want to say when you keep interrupting me? Now that man lied 2 years ago when he said he was going to put Tony George in, he was going to be the council chairman. Except you two keep switching off. Yous are nothing more than a bunch of corrupt puppets. Yous do whatever you're told to do. And now because we're running for re-election, we're all worried about the crime. But yet nobody, especially like Mr. Brown, I told him what was going on in the police station. Alcohol parties, liquor being poured in as gifts to the police. The lieutenant, who's now the chief, in business with the former city tower. There's corruption right in the police department. You shouldn't be leading it. He should be in jail. That's my opinion. The man used his position to enrich himself. And the problem is, what have you done? I brought the proof down here to show you what was going on. Nothing. You did nothing. But because now you're running for to get re-elected, all of a sudden you're so worried. And what Mr. Walsh brought up, shootings. They had a shootout on McLean and the St. Street he lives on, Mayor. We had a man murdered down on the Poplar Inn. We had 3 people shot. Well, the drug dealers, I want to give you one thing, though they do know how to handle it. The guy who shot the 3 people, they murdered him up at the Red Roof Inn. They have their own justice system. When the previous administration was in McGordy, when they had problems up there, they surrounded that place. I towed so many cars the one night, and they took an AK-47 off somebody. They surrounded it, and they got it under control. The problem we have so much crime now, the last 11 years, 3 months, and 2 weeks, or whatever it is because you people are just stuffing your own pockets, because this is a play for pay administration. Now, because we're running, oh, we're going to do something. What are you going to do? You didn't do nothing. Because you're running, now we're going to do something. We're going to do something now about the crime. Look at how many times I've helped. I was right in the area on Holland Street when the guys were supposed to be running down with guns. And I think the reason the people didn't flee is they thought I was a police officer with my lights, and luckily a police officer pulled in 30 or 60 seconds later and ended up arresting those 2 little clowns. 20 shots fired, not far from where Tim Henry lives. Now we're going to do something. Mr. Brown's going to save the city. Mr. Barrett's going to save the city. You're going to save the city. Mrs. Lavelle, I can't believe you woke up and said something.
Mr. Catalbas, for the record, for the last 9 years, I've gone to every one of my Crime Watch meetings when I wasn't traveling for work. Okay?
I still have time.
There's 3 a month.
Say stop the time. I got more
times
time.
9 years. How much time's left?
I have was 37 seconds.
We'll give you another 30 seconds.
All right. But what I'm saying is, Mike, you have never once come to me and said, let's sit down to hammer this stuff out that was going on. And if you went to those Crime Watch meetings, boom, why don't you do what I do? Go up in the woods and get a guy who, there was nothing major. Nothing major, the police were looking for him, and I called the county and asked them, could I ask the sergeant if I could use the police radio, or tell them to call me on the telephone. You know what they did to me? All right, they hung up on me. And it wasn't for nothing serious, folks, it wasn't nothing serious. The guy was only wanted for attempted homicide. And luckily the police caught him. And that's, you know, that's really nice if you went to the crime watch meetings. But the bottom line is, you have done nothing about the corruption in the police force, you've done nothing about the corruption in this building, but now because we're running for election, and I can't believe how you cannot support Tony George, because he's the guy with the... He's the guy... He doesn't care either. Hold it. That man was given extra time, now why can't I be?
Just gave you extra time.
All right.
Motion adjourned, second.